Good evening, everyone. You may want to get some refreshments and everything. We're about to start in the next few minutes. Welcome to Girl Scouts of the USA.
Oops. Getting off my phone. Oh, that's okay.
You didn't have to completely stop talking.
All right. I'd like to welcome everyone for coming tonight. My name is Julie Simeone. I'm the Development Manager at the National Council for Research on Women. And to kick us off tonight, I'm going to read a letter from our President, Linda Bash. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight at the Girl Scouts. I'm so sorry to not be there in person with you. I can only imagine what a rich, informative discussion lies ahead. I want to express special thanks and kudos to Kyla Bender-Baird and Julie Simeone, who have organized this terrific evening, along with Melanie Deck, Tanya Thorburn, and the Facilities Department of the Girl Scouts. What a stellar lineup of speakers they have for you tonight.
Great.
I especially regret not being able to be part of this joint effort between the Girl Scouts and the Council's Emerging Leaders Network, because the Girl Scouts is a longtime partner of the Council, and we're so pleased that Kathy Cloninger, President of the Girl Scouts, is on our board of directors. It's heartening to see this relationship between our organizations grow, develop, and take on new forms as younger members of our organizations connect and collaborate. And I truly miss not being able to participate in a conversation that is so central a part of my own experience, transitioning into the nonprofit arena from other sectors. I'm the anthropologist I am, in some ways, because of the diversity of my experience, which includes a decade at the United Nations as a social affairs officer and then research director, and a period as Dean of Arts and Sciences and Professor of Anthropology before I joined the nonprofit arena full-time. What has been exciting to me has been the variety of ways I've been able to call on my previous experiences in my work at the Council, and the ways I think they've made me a stronger leader and helped me develop my vision for the Council. The message I'd like to leave with all of you is the sense of fulfillment one experiences in the nonprofit space. It is a place where we can have an impact, feel proud of the work we do, and have the chance to work with inspired and inspiring colleagues. This is what makes me excited about coming to work every day. I also want you to know how excited I am by all of you, young feminists, picking up the mantle of leadership with a will to lead us to a new place. I wish you all the best. You are our hope for the future. You are the generation who will take the world to true gender equality. Thank you and enjoy the evening. And now a few words from author Courtney Martin.
Hi, everyone. Linda may be upset with me because I'm going to give you another side of this whole story, but we'll see. So I want you to think about three little words: save the world. When was the first time you heard those words? Who spoke them? What is that kind of how does that resonate for you? What connotations does that have? I ask because I think this is a room with a lot of folks who probably have some ambition to at least change the world, right? I was that person myself. I graduated from Barnard College in 2002. And I had taken my political science classes, and I had done all of my internships at the ACLU and the Children's Defense Fund. And I was sort of ready to unleash myself on the world and make good on this promise that my very well-intentioned hippie parents and kind of everyone else had told me that it was my duty to go, quote unquote, save the world, right? You can probably tell what's going to happen next. So I got a job at a women's health nonprofit, which I will not name, a very small one, and my boss smoked long, skinny cigarettes as she did conference calls about stroke prevention. She also offered to pay for my internet at home, and as a very poor post-college person, I thought, this is amazing, what a generous person. Turns out she wanted to pay for my internet at home so I would have no choice but to email her back at any hour of the night, right? So that was a pretty disillusioning experience. Politically, it was 2002 leading into 2004. I was phone banking. I was protesting on the streets, anti-war marches. I was doing everything I thought I was supposed to do to, getting back to this phrase, save the world, right? And none of it seemed to matter. I was incredibly disillusioned. I have one of those families that likes to see really depressing documentaries together as like a family activity. And we were home all for a winter break, and we went to see this film called Darwin's Nightmare. Has anyone seen this? I wish I could recommend it because it's a really good film, but I am afraid I would not want any of you to be in the emotional state that my family was in after seeing this. So we were kind of, drinking vodka and lamenting the state of the world. And I told my parents that I'd just become so disillusioned that I had this kind of negative and ridiculous fantasy of what if I wrote a letter to the president and lit myself on fire on the White House steps. And my mom, took a drink and said, I will not stand for your desperation. She also told me I will contact every editor in America and tell them not to publish your letter. So she had lots of ideas up her sleeves. But for me, that was really a moment that marked how desperate I'd gotten. And I started to research kind of the rhetoric behind some of what this generation has been socialized with, the Save the World rhetoric. And I found that there's actually a name for this. It's called learned helplessness. Martin Seligman talks about when one has grand expectations and finds them repeatedly unfulfilled, that kind of the unavoidable next stop is despair, right? It's very hard to feel like you've been set up, that you thought you were putting your energy in a certain way and you're not getting the results you thought you would get. But Wendell Berry, another author I really love, says, despair is the too little of responsibility as pride is the too much, which I think is a really important thing to think about, particularly as we're kind of young and first making our careers. So instead of wallowing in my desperation, I did what I know how to do, which is I wrote a book. I went on a journey of meeting all of these young activists, many of them working in amazing nonprofit organizations, to try to understand how my sort of more emotionally stable peers were defining success, how they were going about their work, how they were finding meaning in their lives, how they were building resilience for themselves. And it was a really incredible journey, and that's what grew into my book, Do It Anyway, The New Generation of Activists, which we were hoping to sell, but the stupid publisher sent it somewhere else. So so I will sign books later and have them sent to folks if people are interested.
Can you say the title again?
Yes, Do It Anyway, The New Generation of Activists. So these people I profiled work at places like Homeboy Industries, Service Women's Action Network, V-Day, Lower East Side Girls Club, Environmental Climate Coalition, Resource Generation, all of these like really amazing nonprofits. And what they taught me many, many things, but since I'm just giving you a short intro here, I want to leave two of the lessons that they taught me. One is that you can't do it all, nor should you. What I really observed from these folks was that they had found where their gladness, their gifts, met the world's needs, right? And it was this very specific intersection. Not everyone is good at everything, and that's okay. So it was really about having the self-awareness to know where you fit in to serving the world's needs. The other thing was that, change is very slow and messy and difficult, and it takes a lifetime. So rather than focusing on success, I'm now focusing on what Cornel West helped me with this one called good failure. He said, of course it's a failure, but how good a failure is it? Which I just love. So I encourage you to think about how those two things might play out in your life. I'm sure we'll hear about lots of good failure from this panel, because anyone working in social change has that experience, and I just thank you all for being here. Thank you. And I'm introducing Michael Watson, Senior Vice President, Human Resources, Girl Scouts of the USA.
Thank you, Courtney, and I want to welcome all of you here again today. What you're going to hear over the next few minutes is some very good advice in terms of careers in the nonprofit sector, and also hear about things you can do in the nonprofit sector. But what I first want to do is to give you an idea as to how the program is going to flow. All of you have the bios of the participants in your programs, so I would encourage you to read those. I'm not going to read those to you because then that would take a lot of time. What you will also find, each of them is going to give a 4 to 5 minute overview of their career and some highlights in terms of their advice to those who want to manage their career. What we're going to do then is ask a few basic questions that they will answer as a group. Then there will be 2 or 3 respondents who will come up and ask a few questions, and then we will open it up to the entire audience. And I'll let you know when we're at various stages of the program this evening. First, I'd like to introduce the panelists to you so you know who they are, and I'll just have them either wave their hand or smile or something to let you know who is who. First, we have Tiffany Dufu. She's the president of the White House Project. Elizabeth Grayer, President, Legal Momentum. Jacqueline Libowitz, Chief of Staff, Chief Administrative Officer, Girl Scouts of the USA. Sister Teresa Ricard, President and Executive Director, Renew International. Shama Ventoteshwar.
Very good.
I think I got part of it.